they can't stop it, but they can delay it. And they delay it using this hammer, this club of regulation. And it's even crazier in that they're allowed, for some unknown reason to me, to rewrite the rules, right? You go into Kraken and you say, yeah, we said this wasn't a security, but now we're saying that by staking it and earning interest on it, you violated securities laws. How did we do that? You, the rule maker, said it's not a security. And then I take that not a security and I lend it to somebody and get paid for its use. How is that a security? It's not an orange grove. It doesn't meet the Howey test. Anyway, I digress.
The cryptocurrency market is still in the red, but only modestly, with Bitcoin down 4% over the past 24 hours. Trading for $21,708 and $1,520. Ethereum is down 1.4% in the last 24 hours. The SEC will impose further regulations, according to recent reports. Kraken agreed to halt the unregistered offer and sale of the crypto asset staking as a service program and paid $30 million to settle SEC charges, as stated by the SEC. The crypto community as a whole is perplexed and dissatisfied with the SEC's action, as this is clearly another step to make it more difficult for Bitcoin businesses to compete domestically. Let us listen to Mark's remarks.
You know, it is the old Gandhi quote that Gandhi actually didn't say. It was somebody else, and I wish I remember who it was. But, you know, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, but then you win. And I keep saying this, that yes, 09 to 15, they ignored us. 16 to 21, they laughed at us. 22 to 27, they're going to fight us. Yes, they're going to fight. They're going to fight hard. Why? Because blockchain technology will do to financial services what the internet did to media and commerce. All of the old guard traditional institutions that had all the wealth and all the market cap in commerce and media migrated into Web 1 and Web 2. That just happened. And they fought it and they tried to pass regulation to stop it. You know, the telcos, it's an amazing story that back in the 90s, the telecommunications companies were the two largest donors to political candidates through lobbying, which is a fancy term for corruption. And everyone said, you know, Al Gore says he invented the internet. Well, he didn't invent the internet, but he did save the internet. Because what he did was you had these telephone companies that did not like the fact that, like right now, we are using voice over internet protocol to communicate in real time in HD for free.
Exactly.
And back then in the early 90s, like I'd call my, girlfriend long distance and, hey, what are you doing? Nothing. What are you doing? Nothing. 2.5 hours would go by. My mom would come in and say, what are you doing? That was $300.
Cool.
And the telephone companies love that. Mm-hmm. And they didn't want it to be free. And the internet was like, no, it's gonna be free. So they tried to pass a law that would ban voice over internet protocol. And Al Gore stepped up and said, nope, we are not even gonna vote on this bill. So he didn't invent the internet, but he was actually a pretty important guy. And so what people forget is this is how every incumbent deals with disruptive innovation. Throughout all of history, this is how incumbents try to slow down the progress. And look, I don't want to go too deep into this because it's well documented that there's a whole bunch of things that don't quite add up in that. Look, Sam Bankman-Fried is the mastermind of nothing. Mm-hmm. He is not a genius. Nope. He is not the guy who created this, quote unquote, second largest. No, just not. He is not the mastermind of anything. He is a useful idiot for a much larger group, mm-hmm. which I will contend comes from way up high, to try. And I use the word try because they can't win. Because the fourth line of the quote, then you win. We already won. Anyone who is in crypto, we have already won because we see the future. I will say that under Jay Clayton's leadership, I thought the SEC did an amazingly good job in crypto regulation. They were consistent. They were prudent. They didn't jump in and make rash decisions. They studied, consistently said, nope, Bitcoin, Ethereum, not securities. These other things we need to check and compare them to the Howey test. Everything they did was very consistent. Gary comes in. Now, how did Gary come in?
Get here.
Gary was a professor at MIT. He worked for Caroline William, whatever her last name is, Sam Bankman-Fried's ex-girlfriend's dad. And Gary, with no experience as a regulator, right? He worked at Goldman Sachs, but that doesn't make you an experienced regulator. It makes you a bankster, right? Part of the cabal. A small group of people who control something. Bottom line is, the banksters have been in control. And look, Goldman people, ex-Goldman people run everything, right? They're prime ministers, they're the head of central banks. Okay, fine. So look, Gary gets the job. Now, is it a coincidence that he was appointed by the guy who was elected, who was funded, the largest donor to Joe Biden was Sam Bankman-Fried?
Yeah.
How is that impossible? Like, aren't there campaign finance limits that limit how much you, oh wait, his mom created a Tumblr that allows venture capitalists in Silicon Valley to skirt the campaign finance laws. Maybe that's a coincidence. Maybe, I don't know. Seems not like a coincidence to me. So Gary gets the job, and Gary's very silent for his first few months on the job. And then suddenly he starts doing enforcement actions. Like you said, I'm gonna use all tools. Okay, but isn't a positive approach to collaborate with the people in the industry and say, okay, here are the rules, and it doesn't appear that you're following those rules, so let's have a grace period for you to get in compliance with the rules, and if you don't, then I can do enforcement. Rather than just say, all right, there were no rules, but now we've set a rule, and so in the past you violated that rule, but it didn't exist. It's like the politically incorrect. If a man says something in the forest, there's not a woman there to hear it. Is he still wrong? Right? So yeah, the spirit of collaboration would lead to a positive outcome, right? I mean, if you ask me to cooperate or collaborate, I will try to help. I mean, I'm actually grateful. We actually have that relationship with the team that came to us to do our audit with the SEC. We helped educate them. I spent lots of time walking them through. We're not investors in FTX. We had no investment in FTX. And so they're like, well, can you help us understand? I'm like, sure. And I spent hours telling it, but technically they didn't have any jurisdiction because I didn't have an investment there. But it's not in my best interest to make them angry. So helping in a spirit of collaboration is one thing, but there's a reason one of the board members of the SEC, I don't know if you're a board member or what the title is, directors, but Hester Pierce, she didn't abstain, she dissented.
Yep.
She dissented, right? She said, I disagree again with, my fellow, and he is the chairman, like he's the head, but she's a commissioner. So I disagree with my fellow commissioner that what he's doing is positive. And regulation through enforcement has always been less productive than regulation through collaboration. And so, I don't know, I will argue that perhaps it's possible that positive outcomes are not the desired goal.
What do you think about Mark's remarks? What do you believe the true purpose of this regulation is? Leave a comment with your ideas down below, and we appreciate you tuning into Market Empire. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel.